Sony's PS5 reveal event had a lot of surprises for PlayStation fans, the console reveal and Demon's Soul remake, and especially fans of Insomniac Games. Insomniac Games isn't just working on Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales for the PS5, it's also bringing a new entry in its beloved platforming franchise to the next-gen console. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was one of the first exclusives shown off for the PS5, and it finally brings the duo back in a new adventure for the first time in about 7 years. The Rift Apart really shows how far Ratchet and Clank game has come over the years, but the game looks to retain everything that fans know and love while introducing wild new elements. The biggest of these elements are, of course, the dimensional rifts that play into the story and gameplay. We've only seen a handful of gameplay and story glimpses thus far, but it already looks incredibly fun. Players can expect a handful of different playable characters, planets, weapons and gadgets to play around with, which has often been the case with past games. The reveal trailer for Rift Apart at the event held didn't detail a lot of story, but it does throw a few hints as to what's happening next. The game clearly takes place the furthest in the timeline seen yet, and as Clank states in the trailer, dimensions seem to be collapsing in on one another. Clank can be heard talking about how Dr. Nefarious has returned after all these years to try and take over the universe again. That means that Nefarious is likely the main villain of the series once again. Of course, the big reveal is the female Lombax that Clank runs into at the end of the trailer, which means that Ratchet isn't the sole surviving member of his race. Who this character is and what her role is remains to be seen. Maybe Insomniac Games will give out more info about this character later. The game got a lot of new and old planet locations. Like any other Insomniac Games Ratchet and Clank title, Rift Apart will feature a variety of new locations and planets to discover, but being able to rediscover previous locations is a nice touch from the next-gen Ratchet and Clank game. It'll be interesting to see what ways Insomniac changes up planets from previous games, and we're curious whether or not any worlds before the reimagining on the PS4 will be featured in the next-gen title. And the core gameplay found in the opening trailer retains many elements of the franchise fans will find familiar. You'll still be roaming around large environments taking out enemies and collecting bolts, a currency that can be spent on buying new items and upgrading your wild assortment of gadgets and weapons. Ratchet has a new tool called the Rift Tether. This allows him to grab onto rifts in the environment and use them to teleport around areas, flanking enemies, or simply moving instantaneously. This will likely translate to far larger environments, something Insomniac Games has said is only possible with the obscene power offered by the PlayStation 5. Here's hoping these levels are super fun to explore. The trailer also showed off 4 new weapons for Ratchet: the Burst Pistol, Shatterbomb, a shotgun-like enforcer, and Topiary Sprinkler. Apart from that, the environment seems much more populated with NPCs and enemies than anything the series has seen before. Ratchet can now dash backwards while strafing, making it easier to avoid the attacks of enemies in hectic situations. And back to the female Lombax that looks similar to Ratchet. While at first, we thought that this mysterious character will be just an element to tell the desired story, but according to a recent tweet from Insomniac Games, it is confirmed that this mysterious character has come from another dimension and will be playable in the game. For the release date, there is currently no release date for Rift Apart, and it won't be arriving in time for the console's launch later this year. We imagine it will be arriving in 2021 at the earliest, with Insomniac Games promising that we'll receive more information on the game in the coming months. It's nice to see Insomniac Games doing something fresh with their long-running game series, and we hope that Ratchet and Clank for PlayStation 5 will mark the beginning of a new era for our beloved characters. And this is by far all of the concrete infos about the game. If you're new in this channel, make sure you subscribe to stick around the Gaming Tiger for more game videos. Thanks for watching.